Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Boss Fox, your voice from the other side. And today I've come to talk to you about something that's become a real problem in our day and age. Bullying. Now, you've probably heard numerous anti-bullying videos, as have I. This is not going to be your typical one, and I warn you, my opinions on the matter are fairly controversial. Why has bullying become such a serious problem in this day and age, as opposed to in ages past? Well, because we handle bullying in an entirely different way than we used to. These days, someone striking back against a bully, taking back their liberty from these idiots, these petty individuals, is also subject to disciplinary action, almost as much as the bully itself. Secondly, they do very little when a child, student, what have you, reports a bully, unless they catch them in the act, in which case they still do very little. So, here's the trick. We didn't have these problems as much in my day and age for one simple reason. Kids used to be able to knock the crap out of each other and get these issues solved. Hell, when I was young, about first grade or so, I had a bully. Terrible fellow. I won't mention his name because he's actually grown up to be a fairly stand-up guy. But this fella used to have a posse of kids that had absolutely terrorized the playground. 4th or 5th grade, and still tormenting those much younger than him. Well, I put up with this for a little while, until I couldn't stand it no more, when he targeted someone younger than me, a girl, who was about probably a grade or so behind me. So, I got into a fight with him. They pinned my hands, and straight out of range of the feet, they went to swing at me again. Well, I did what my father said, and I used my head. I latched onto the fucker with my teeth. Now, I'm not necessarily proud of that in later days, but he never bothered another kid again, and he still bears a token of my esteem right along his wrist. Although, as my father did say afterwards, that's not what I meant when I told you to use your head. Effective, though. You see, having grown up the way I did, I grew up a bigger guy. Now, you see more paunch on that than muscle these days, but used to be there was a lot more muscle there. And I was determined I would not become a bully. In point of fact, I put down bullies as hard as possible. I stood up for those younger than me, smaller than me, or just too damn nice to defend themselves. Now, my extended family keeps up a fairly big warrior mentality in certain ways. We're not saying that we attack people for no reason, but we are prepared to defend ourselves should the need arise. And we instill this in the younger generations of our family. Now, the way they handle bullying these days is despicable. And all the information that they send out is not necessarily helping. You can educate on it all you want, but if all you're going to say is tell an adult, and the adults don't do anything about it, you know what? I fully support you in standing up for yourself and giving the bugger a good pop in the nose. Violence is not always the answer to a problem. In point of fact, it should be avoided if possible. But there are some times when it is unavoidable. Now, you may ask, how did my family handle this when I took care of this bully? Well, it was a different time back then. Of course, the principal was horrified. He's not a violent kid normally, she says. Well, has he told you about these bullies, my father said? Yes. And did you do anything about them? No. Son, what'd you do? He says. I used my head, Pop. Says I. Oh, what'd you do? And at about 7 years old, I respond, without hesitation, I bit the fucker. Well, that's not what I meant by use your head, but effective, says my father. And that was all that was said of the matter. My father had always believed in standing up for yourself. He wasn't a violent man, but he certainly wasn't going to teach his son to take shit from those who were picking on those weaker than them. And when he heard that I was defending someone younger and weaker than myself, the matter was settled. So what am I getting at? These days, we condition children not to seek proactive solutions to bullying, because that would be terrible. Well, isn't the fact that some kid is continuously picking on, possibly beating on your kid, horrible enough? We have suicides from bullying these days. Suicides. We did not have that in previous generations. Why? Because people were able to take care of it in different ways. Now, they give the kid no chance to solve these problems. They give the kid no escape because now they can be reached on social media even away from school. What kind of society are we living in when you can't strike back against an aggressor without legal repercussions? And it goes further, I tell you. In Oregon, there is no castle law. If you are defending yourself on your home and property, or if you are defending yourself from an attacker and you do damage them, you are as liable for prosecution as the person who attacked you. This is the nonsense society we are living in today, when a man or a woman cannot protect themselves and their family and their property from others because the law says that it must be left to the law. All right. Let me pose a scenario to you. Let's say someone's broken into your house and is threatening harm to your loved ones, children, wives, what have you, family members. And now, according to this law, you're supposed to call the cops and hope for the best. Hope they get there, hope they can resolve the situation. But multiple opportunities are presenting itself for you to basically, what's the right word here? Neutralize the threat yourself. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but I think most of America agrees with me. If I have a chance, I'm going to take that bastard out, assuring the safety of my family and myself. Oh, they have rights, they say. There's procedures. You're not qualified to handle this situation because you're not a policeman. That's interesting. However, I tend to believe they gave up their right to me not clubbing the crap out of them when they broke into my home with the intention of causing harm to my family. This is what society is breeding of us these days. The entire instinct to protect ourselves and others is being suppressed. Now, of course, there's always those that will say that my ideas are radical against the system. Blame my upbringing. I grew up in the woods. I grew up in a time when a man or a woman was supposed to protect their family and themselves, where people were supposed to stand up for each other, and where and when take all they could stand, but when they couldn't stand no more, it was time to make a stand, to make a change. Now, I don't have any heartwarming conclusion where this bully and I ended up friends. We didn't. But you know, when we met each other a lot later on in life, there was a mutual respect. And where was there that respect? Because I stood up to him. I made him respect me. I wasn't some victim to be picked on. I was the kid who put him in his place. And you know, given the opportunity, that could be the result of a lot more of these situations if handled properly. Will it be? Doubtful these days, because most times that is not the case. Kids don't get the chance to stand up for themselves. I teach all my nieces and nephews one or two simple rules. One, never start the fight, but be damn sure you finish it. Two, avoid violence if at all possible. But if you don't have any other option, knock the crap out of them. And three, if you're defending someone weaker than yourself, do not hesitate to defend them with extreme prejudice. Now, most of you will call me a brute on that, I'm sure. But it is what I believe in, and it is how I was raised. And no niece or nephew will ever face consequences from me or their parents for doing this in the right way, if it's the right thing to do. I was so proud of one of my nephews. He had a boy bullying him constantly. That wasn't why he attacked him. But when he decided he was going to turn violent against a younger girl in the class, my nephew knocked him on his ass and kept between him and the girl, knocking him on his ass multiple times until he got the message. So, the parents get called in. They have a talk with the principal. Principal's pissed. They explain the situation to the parents. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that, folks. I'm recording in the parking lot, so sometimes I'll get folks coming up asking for a cigarette or a light. Anyways, they explain the situation to the parents. So, my nephew comes home, and several of us aunts and uncles are there, and we ask him, what happened at school today? And he explains it to us, and his parents explain it to us, and that boy got ice cream. A clap on the back and ice cream. Why? Because he followed the rules. He was defending someone younger than himself and weaker than himself. He did no more damage than was necessary, and he did not start the fight. He followed exactly what we taught him, and we were quite proud of him. Now you see, that's the thing. Teachers don't understand, principals don't understand that if they're not going to do something about it, they can't get mad at the kid that finally has enough and decides to knock some bully off his perch. So long as they don't become a bully afterwards, there's nothing wrong with standing up to them. Hell, this country was founded on standing up to tyrants. something that we've forgotten in this day and age. Well, that's my rant for the day, ladies and gentlemen. The topic has been bullying, and let me know in the comments below what you would like me to talk about next time. I look forward to having feedback from you. Until next time, this is the Boss Fox. Good luck, Godspeed, may the Force be with you. I am the Boss Fox, your voice from the other side. Good day.